I hope that we like get people out of jobs that are exploitative and not healthy and not good for the earth and not good for them, and move everybody towards taking action that's actually like fun and exciting and brings abundance, so that everybody has food and everyone has shelter and everyone has clean water, because that's, the earth that we live on provides all these things.
Hello! Thank you so much for checking out Earth Care, the interview series that's dedicated to understanding the ways we can care for the earth and each other. I'm your host, Sarah Christie, and I'm on a mission to make climate change an approachable and not so overwhelming conversation for everyone. On this podcast, we meet climate heroes, activists, experts, entrepreneurs, and get their take on how we can help save the planet. And during this episode, we're learning how to do that while laughing and remembering to have fun. Hilla the Killa is an eco-rapper, a comedian, entertainer, and educator with songs about all things the environment, compost, soil, plants, our earth. Remember in elementary school all the learning we did through song? That's what Hilla the Killa has created. Educational content with a purpose that's not only easy to digest, but fun and funny. Whether she's busking around New York City, putting on a show, or sharing content on social media, whatever she creates is guaranteed to make us smile and teach us something new. I think a major roadblock we run into with environmental action is when the lack of brain capacity for more bad news intersects with the feeling of being too small or powerless to truly make a difference. Well, you'd be hard-pressed to check out Hilla's social media and not be hit with that urge to smirk. Her work in the environmental movement is a critical reminder of the important ripple effect set off by joy. In fact, on that topic, she recently tweeted, "I need caring for the earth to be the most fashionable, trending, pop culture item on everyone's minds. Everyone who is able should be working towards a greener, more just future. Through laughter and music, we can create the largest, most joyful revolution." Hilla the Killa joins Earth Care to chat about combining comedy with environmentalism, what she hopes we take away from her music, and the significant role humor plays in her creations. Here it is, my Earth Care conversation with Hilla the Killa. So I want to start with what came first for you, environmentalism or your entertainment side?
Definitely entertainment side.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been performing and entertaining people and doing stand-up comedy and making songs and rapping like way before I ever thought about the earth or the cycles of the earth or where my food came from or any of that,
So what's your journey
for
into
sure.
sustainability?
Well, I mean, I grew into it for sure. And I think, as someone who grew up without like even a tree on her block in New York City, it took me a while to like really think about the planet and even just have access to or like just expose myself to certain things. Like it wasn't until I was like in my like mid 20s that I just like started growing food or sprouting seeds. When I went to Burning Man for the first time in 2014, I like caught a glimpse of like the West Coast and those like desert and all these places that I'd never been to, and just like gave me this like, whoa, I'm on a planet. This is wild. Like, and also the fact that the festival had a very like just mental consciousness about trash. Coming from New York City, it was just incredible to see people actually party and do all this stuff and not have trash bins everywhere. Of course, the festival pollutes and generates a ton of waste outside of it and around it, but the culture of being there is not one that is like where plastic cups are normal or normalized. Everybody has their own cup, dangling from their belt or something. And I just thought that was really cool. And so that led me on a zero waste journey, which led me to caring and thinking about where my food comes from, led me to composting, led me to growing my own food and just diving into earth science and sustainability.
That's so cool. I know you shared your connection to Burning Man and your story through going to Burning Man on social media. And as a music lover, a concert goer myself, it was just so interesting to read because you're right. Going to a festival, it's usually a sea of plastic. It's, some people will bring their reusable water bottles. So to see it be done and welcome, like that zero waste lifestyle be welcomed in such a large capacity is really, quite inspiring. What is composting like in New York City? Because in big cities, I'm in one myself in Toronto. It feels very complicated and it shouldn't be. So I'm curious, what is it like in New York?
In New York, It's actually quite robust. Like you could compost anywhere. In the five boroughs, there's drop-off sites, usually at community gardens or at farmers markets. Grow NYC, Big Reuse are some of the bigger like compost um, people that collect a lot from different smaller sites. But like, yeah, in Brooklyn and Manhattan, Staten Island, Queens, the Bronx, there's somewhere to compost. Sometimes you might have to take it a little farther away from, where you live. But honestly, in Brooklyn and Manhattan, there's a service called Ground Cycle that will pick up like a 5-gallon bucket of your food scraps from your door, and it's
Wow.
like a compost delivery. Yeah, and they'll actually like swap it out with a bucket full of produce from the farmers market if you buy that service. And so you're literally just like swapping food scraps for food, and it's a great way to see how closed loop the cycle really is.
Yes.
So New York actually has an incredible compost community. I think Queens just mandated composting as well. So there's a lot of cool things in the compost world there.
Yeah, that circular economy. I love that. Now, with your Hilla the Killa, with your rapping and your performance, if you've never seen Hilla the Killa videos before, you're usually out there in a big globe. I want to know the story, the backstory of the big earth that you sport.
Oh, yeah. So one of my musical collaborators, Nathan Dufour, he and I have a group called Nate and Hilla. And that's where the compost song is actually. If you want to see 15 community composting sites in New York City documented in a music video about compost, Compost by Nate and Hilla is how you can see that. But Nate and I had a show at this venue called Caveat, which is like a science entertainment venue. And they had us do this show called Eco Trippin'. And we were preparing for the show, and we were like, oh, we need a song where the earth is rapping. So, like, who's going to be the earth? And it was like, I think it should be me. And then we decided to make an earth costume. So that's just really how it happened. Like we like made it, and it's like just an inflatable with a shell over it that we sewed and cut out the continents for.
I love it. Really, in New York, there is something for absolutely everyone. I love that city so much. What kind of reaction do you get from people, whether you're, at your shows or you're out on the street?
It's great. It's a great reaction. I mean, it's the earth. It's our home. It's like I think it's a great thing for people to see. It makes people happy. It's silly. It's a really silly costume. So like it's very clowny, and I feel like that's just what the climate movement kind of needs and what I can really provide for it and for the world.
I read an article actually just this past weekend about, the importance and the need for storytelling in the climate movement. And
Yeah.
you hit the nail on the head there. It's exactly that. How are people going to be upset with what you're trying to communicate and the way you're going about it? It's so joyful. What is the importance of incorporating just that fun and that joy into your environmentalism?
I think it's important. I would like to enjoy my life and live in a happy way and do things that are good for the earth and better the community that I'm part of and the larger community globally, and the future generations. And so I think that it has to be part of it. I mean, we're here to enjoy life. So even though there's a lot of challenges and a lot of difficult things we have to confront, I think that we can do it in a joyful way that inspires people to take action and to live healthier lives, and to better themselves and their communities. I think it's possible, but it is difficult because there's a lot of opposing forces.
Yeah. Absolutely. But if that's the lane you've chosen, it's so appreciated by, anybody who's just trying to read about climate change and learn about it for the first time because it can become quite a dark conversation fast. What do you hope people take from the content and the music that you're putting out there and the education that you're putting out there?
I hope people learn something. I hope they like spend time outside and meet their neighbors and care for each other. I hope that we like, you know, get people out of jobs that are exploitative and not healthy and not good for the earth and not good for them, and move everybody towards taking action that's actually like fun and exciting and brings abundance so that everybody has food and everyone has shelter and everyone has clean water, because that's, the earth that we live on provides all these things. So, as long as we're giving back and like part of a community with animals and fungi and trees, I think that there's like a really beautiful future that awaits us and the planet. I hope that people can take away that and like just learn and be part of it. That's my hope. That's what I'm hoping for myself. That's what I hope for everybody.
Now, you said the word right there, hope. I ask this question quite often at Earth Care because I think without hope, what are we even doing here? But, I'm so eager to know your perspective on this because of how much joy, you give off in everything you share. So because climate change can be such a heavy conversation, what keeps you hopeful? Or where do you look for hope on the days that are a little bit heavier?
I look at my friends and my family and the people that are in my life that I, see them working and doing the thing. And it's a daily, process. Every day is another day to plant a tree, another day to start composting. And so it gives me hope to see people doing that and being a part of that. I think I just access that. I think about all the farmers and people out there that are doing their best to learn and be part of the solution. So definitely people give me hope. Yeah. And just, being outside. I think that's a great place. It's just like knowing that being outside is available to me.
I love that. Now, before I let you go, you mentioned something earlier that I wanted to ask a little bit more about. You have a music video that showcases all of the compost centers in New York. How did that project come about?
Actually, the song was sort of commissioned for a children's podcast that's like supposed to mimic like a school bus. And the episode was like a compost episode. So Nate and I started writing the song and we were like, oh my God, this is the cutest song ever. We love it. And I was like, the music video should be a documentary and we should try to film at compost sites in the 5 boroughs. So we documented 15 community composting sites out of like probably over 100 that exist. Yeah, like those 15 sites, BK Rot, North Brooklyn Compost, Synergy Garden, like Dior Noel, who's a master composter up in the Bronx. She is like actually a featured rapper on the song. And it's just a really great video. Just that shows New York City's compost community, and it's by Nate and Hilla Compost.
Wow, that is so cool. What a way to showcase such a crucial part of the community, right? That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I am so glad we finally got to meet and that you shared your time with Earth Care. This was such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was great to be here. I love it.
Thank you so much for listening to Earth Care and letting this podcast be a part of your day. Since you made it this far, here's a little sneak peek into the conversation we're having next week.
The beauty of gardening is kind of how nature takes over. And if you do it a certain way, like the garden will essentially take care of itself. Like you just plant it and you just watch the show, And with planting native plants, that is a really big factor in helping all of that happen.
Until then, don't forget to hit follow or subscribe, whatever that button is on the device that you're listening to this episode on. Then you'll know when new episodes are out. And hey, if you have time, leave a review, message me with a review. I would love to know what's on your mind, what's been clicking with you, and what topics you'd like to learn more about. Those are also a really big help when it comes to gathering more interviews. So I truly do appreciate that. We can also connect online at Earth Care Show on Instagram and TikTok and earthcareshow.com for more information. I'm Sarah Christie, and the goal of this podcast is to get us talking about climate change. So let's chat.